Hello, fellow coders. Welcome back to our C# programming series. In the last video, we did create our first program, which printed a simple message onto the screen, "Hello world." Today, let's get to know or dive into the very foundation of programming, that is looking at variables and data types. So let's get started. All right, good. Now, in C#, a variable is like a storage location, all right? A storage location identified by a memory address. So I know that all these things may sound abstract, so let me just demonstrate something for you to see. Now let's say we have a bucket. Okay, let's assume these are buckets. Okay, and then we have some fruits. Let's say mango. Yeah, we have mango. We also have let's say oranges. Let's use this one to represent our oranges. All right. Now we want to get all these things to be organized in a particular container for us. How do we go about that? We need to make sure that we fetch all these ones, right? Fetch all these ones and then just drop them in the container like so. So this is our main container. And then we also have a mango here like that. So you see that this container here, this container here is serving as what? A storage for our fruit. So the same concept is used in programming. So when we say a variable, it's just you having a container to store a particular data for you. So the data can be the name of a person, the age of a person, how do you call it? The sex, the gender, and so so many things, right? Yes. So that is basically what variables mean. Now, if you listen to me very carefully, you realize that I mentioned different types of what data types. We'll get to them as and when we progress in the video. All right. Now, the first variable I want us to create is to say that we have a variable called int my number. All right. So when we do this, you have to terminate it like so. When we do this, we've basically defined what we call what? A variable. Defined, or we've what? Declared a variable. Now, this variable is what? It's useless. At this point, it is useless because it's practically not doing anything. It's just occupying space in memory. All right? Yes. So in order to make use of this variable, we can go ahead and do what we call initialization or assignment. What that's essentially means is we are going to assign a particular number to these variables. So in our earlier demonstration where I drew some diagrams, this number here, my number here, is now acting as what? The container. So when I go ahead and say equals and I bring a number like 10, all right, now this 10 is now equivalent to the fruits that I drew earlier, and now it has been placed inside this container, my number here. I hope this makes sense, right? I hope it makes sense. Good. Okay, so this is what we call declaration and initialization. All right, so we've declared a variable which is of the type integer. It means it accepts numbers, whole numbers, right? And then we've assigned or we've initialized this variable to have the value of what? 10. Now, in order to get to use this variable, first and first, let's see what it is held. What is held in this variable here, or the container here. All right. Okay. So what we can basically do is say console dot try line let's say my number, then make sure this is terminated. So when I go ahead and run this program, I'm supposed to see Yeah, so I'm seeing 10 here. I hope you can see that 10. So this is the value that is held in the container my number. All right, this container here. So henceforth, when I use the word container or variable, you should know where I'm coming from, because we said or established the fact that variables are essentially containers, or their storage with locations in our program. So this here is storing this number 10. So when we log it to the console, we are seeing what? 10 exactly. All right. Yeah, so that is basically how to declare and initialize a variable. Now, we can go ahead and do so many stuff. So let's say we have another variable called, let's say, string name. Then we set this to be next, like so. And then let's say string, um, let's say address is equal to, let's say Johannesburg, Johannesburg, SA, SA, like so. Now I can go ahead and print all this to the console. How do I do that? So first of all, let me just say I want to print the name or log the name to the console, and also I want to do likewise for what? Console.writeLine. This is just to create an empty line before the next output, and then I can chip in the address as well. And when I go ahead and print all this or run the script, so I'm getting my name as well as my location. All right. Yeah, so I think you can really see. Let me zoom it out. Yeah, so this is the name and this is the address. So these are what's the basis of defining or working with variables in C#. So you could realize that anytime I'm creating a container, I precede it with a particular keyword. Here, the first one is integer, second one is string, and the third one is as well string. And these are what we call data types. Now, if you have basic knowledge about what data is, you can say that data is what? Raw fact. All right. Now, it can also be organized into certain word formats. You can have video data, we can have a music data, we can have a number data, text data, a whole lot, right? Yeah, so C# programming language provides us with certain basic data types that we can make use of. So a string data type will allow us to, store data that is in the form of what? Text. So you could see that this name here is a sequence of what? Characters. So we have character E, R, and EST, like that. So these are all characters and it's forming a sequence. So when it happens like so, we will be able to store this in a computer's memory with the help of what? A string data type. Likewise for what? The address. Now we want to work with numbers. We can make use of what? Integer, which accept whole numbers. So when I say 10.5, this is not going to allow me because integer only accept whole numbers, and this is a fractional number, or this is what? A decimal number, which is not what accepted by the integer. So when we force this thing to still work, it is going to strip off the 0.3. But then it happens that there is a way around accepting what? Decimal or floating point numbers. So just as the name implies, we have what? A data type called float. So let's say amount. I set this one to be 10, let's say 50.55, and this, okay, let me see something. And why is it flagging me? Double precision. Let me see 5.5. Okay, a moment. Let me see double. Okay. All right. So there is something I need to touch on quickly. So let's see, 0.5 here should work. Represent the double precision. Really? Okay. So 0.01, let's say. Okay, I'll touch on the flutes later on. I don't know why it is not working, but when I change the flutes to double, it sort of what worked, and they all perform the same function. I mean, the double and the flutes perform basically the same function, but the difference is that double has a higher storage value, I mean higher precision than the float. So in terms of, let's say, storage size, we can say that the double can store up to a 64-bit characters or numbers, and then a float can store up to a 32-bit numbers, right? Yes, so that is basically the difference. So whenever you are thinking of working with decimal numbers, you can either use floats or double. All right. Yes, so that is basically about dealing with variables. First of all, you can just go ahead and create the variable. So let's say int age. So you can just define the variable without initializing it. When you do this, we said you've declared a variable without initialization. But when I go ahead and say this here is 20, it means that we've initialized this variable or container to hold the value 20. Yes, so that is basically it. Now there are a couple of other ones like character. We have character, which accepts single character. So these ones you can use it to represent, for instance, let's say gender. So when you want to use the initials to represent gender, so maybe M for male, we can use what? The character to do that. The character data type to do that. This one, if you specify more than one character, it will flag you. You see, we are already getting what? A red squiggly line under what this particular character here, meaning that this data type accepts only one character like that. We also have other ones like Boolean data type, which can say we can say that is active. So I set this one to true, and this is a Boolean data type. What happens basically is whenever we say we log console.write line is active, we are supposed to get a number as the output, either a 0 or 1. So let's see something. Let me just comment out all this. It is going to give a particular number as the output. Okay, so we are getting a text. Some other programming languages give you a 0 or 1, but C# is giving us for true. So it means that true here means the current value of our active container or variable is what? True, which is what this one here is a Boolean value. We can set it to false, and these are normally used in programs where you can say that, okay, maybe if the user is active online, sets this active variable to what? To be true. When it's offline, set it to false, and all that. You can use it to determine a whole lot of stuff. So here I can also say that if it's active, like so, if it's active, that is when I can go ahead and say console.write line active. Right, so what I can say is user is active online. So when I run this code again, I'm getting user is active online. All right. And when I change it to false, okay, and then run the code again, I'm supposed to see a blank screen and nothing is being output to what? The screen. It means that since this is false, nothing gets printed. But if we should have an else statement here, which caters for what? Which caters for the user not being online, like so. So user is not active. You see that this part of the code gets executed instead. Okay, so user is what? Not active. It's simply because we've set the value of this is active variable, which is a boolean value, a boolean variable, to false. So this if statement, these are conditional statements. All right, we will get to them as and when we progress, but don't worry about. I was just using it to demonstrate my particular concept for you to understand. All right, yeah, so that is the basis of what variables in C#. I hope you like this video. Give it a thumbs up, follow for more. If you want me to keep creating more content like so, let me know in the comment section, and also follow for more. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.